Good. All right. We get started with the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Do we want to do roll call here?
Mr. Bethwell.
Here.
Here. Bill. Burns.
Here.
And Kelly.
Here.
Falcone.
Here. Right.
Township zoning solicitor and zoning officer.
All right. First up, we have application Z 2024-20 for Kenneth and Laura Montgomery, 31 Harrison Drive. The applicant is seeking variance relief from section 172-29B, subsection 4, to build a pool house and walkway in excess of the allowable impervious coverage. Applicant also requests relief from many other sections of the zoning ordinance that may be realized during the zoning hearing process. Subject premise located in the R1 zoning district. Do we have Kenneth and Laura Montgomery here?
Yes.
Do you want to just take a seat here and just not have the other microphones for them?
Obviously.
All right. Well, that one's tough, just if it's not. We'll get you one that's like this.
There's an extra.
Just sit it in front of you
That's the button.
and
I got it.
sit it on a table. Just sit on a table and then
Yeah.
turn it around now. All
Okay.
right. There you go. All right. So, yep, yeah, we'll get you sworn in.
I do.
And do we have anyone here on behalf of this application that wishes to make public comment? Anybody just related to this application? Okay. And committee is the file in order?
File is in order, have on the screen. Listing of the property. Mailings, that were sent to everyone within 200 feet of the property. And also the first publication. The application was advertised in the local paper.
Right.
Representation of our officer, I asked that the application. There are two, we marked that. The Brezak and the subject property noted as two publications from second group of publications. Lower County. Property. Or I also want to let the board know that file requested there were letters of support for the applicant. Letter by Ed and Kelly Sweet. 29. And Helen Burns at 15 Harrison. And I
If
asked
I may, there's three that were submitted. All three of the neighbors within 200 feet were in support, and I gave Heather applied all three letters to Heather of support.
I'm only in possession of the two. We'll note, do you know the name of the folks?
You said it was Burns and Sweeney. The other one is Bruder.
Yeah, it is on.
Okay.
online.
Yes. Brewer, BREWER.
I would ask that they be marked part of the record on behalf of the applicant.
All right, they
BURNS.
are admitted. All right. Floor is all yours. Take us
Thank you.
through what you're looking to do here.
So we purchased our home in 2020. It was built in roughly 2000. It's about 20 years old. The family that built the house built a lot of terraces and widened driveways that took up a lot of impervious coverage. This was 20 years in advance of my wife and I buying the house. We have three boys that live with us, and we have elder parents that visit and stay and take care of the kids quite a bit. We wanted to, in order to create a home where the kids would spend more time and have their friends, we built a pool. We weren't able to build it in the immediate backyard because there's a lot of water management that was already put in the property when the original owner built the house. So we built the pool in an area that's behind an impervious area where there's a terrace. And building the pool took up a fair amount of the additional impervious that we were allotted by right. So we weren't able to at the time put a pathway to connect the pool to the other terrace area so that there would be steps for people to easily access the pool. There's also, because of the distance from the house, which I think is about 130 or so feet, we are asking to be able to build a structure that will allow us to put a powder room up there for kids and people that are up there for periods of time to use versus having to come all the way down to the house or other things they might do. So we're asking for a minor amount of relief from what we're allowed. It's not an excessive amount over and above what the 25% amount is, as far as I understand. And we're just asking for your help or allowance for us to do that without having to impede any of the other structures that were built on the property before we purchased it.
So what is the size? What are the dimensions of the pool house?
The pool house, there's already an existing terrace that, or I should say, kind of sitting area that's to the right of the pool. If you look at the top.
Is that the concrete pool deck or?
Yes, that's right. So the decking. So the pool house is going to be roughly 18 by 22. It'll take up another roughly 10 feet, maybe 8 to 10 feet behind there up to the pool equipment, which is where the bathroom will end up going.
And what is this impervious coverage wise? What percentages are putting you over?
I don't have it off the top of my mind. It's a little over 25.
0.63. The requirement is, the limitation is 25%.
Yep.
And the plan proposes 25.63. So it's less than a percentage point.
You couldn't find a way to cut some of that back to avoid coming here?
I'm sorry to take your time up. I would love to have, and we made it, you can see there's stepping stones that we're using in order to not use. I've tried to cut as much out of it as I could. It's not a continuous path that goes up to the pool, so we're trying to keep grass in areas that we cannot use the impervious coverage.
How big is that existing swimming pool pad?
The pool itself is 40 by 20.
No, there's a pad here that says, it says existing swimming pool pad,
Hmm.
equipment pad.
Where the equipment is now.
Yeah, I don't know what's there. It just says existing swimming pool equipment pad.
Yeah, the existing, where the pool filters are, I'll say is roughly 5 by 7 feet. It's covered completely by filter and heater and kind of filtration equipment.
Is impervious the only relief that is being sought, or is there's nothing else? That's all I see.
We're only looking for the impervious coverage to extend the deck and build a walkway up to the pool.
Just a dressing room too, or is it just
Just a
the bathroom?
small powder room with a toilet and a small sink.
18 by 22.
Andy, no issues with adding plumbing out there? Like that's okay for the,
Well, if it's gonna have to be directed to the, well, you have one lot.
Yes, we have septic on property.
So at some point in time, that'll have to be evaluated, but that's not before this board. So yeah, the plumbing will have to, the drainage and the sanitary conditioning of that will have to be addressed.
Does it have to be that big? Does it have to be, 18 by 22, that's 9 tiles
Mhm.
by 11. My bedrooms aren't that big.
Mhm.
So
it's
make it a little bit smaller, then you won't have to worry too much.
It's not an entire, it's really just a covered area. It's
But
not a
it's
building
still-
in itself.
The key word there is cover,
Mhm.
right? I'm not sure you need one 18 by 22. I think you can do that by making it a little bit smaller. That's just my humble opinion.
yeah, I think the point being that most people come in and we're like, what is the hardship here, right? And is this the minimum relief required to get there? You look at this and think, is there anything that could be done to, chop it down a little bit? I mean, what would that even come out to in terms of coverage get them below that percentage? I'm not saying everybody here has to do that math, but what,
Right.
have you looked at that?
I
to
don't
say,
even-
Hey, if it was, 20 by 16 or,
I haven't done the math to look at that. I don't know if that changes. I'd still be over the 25% allotment. And so we're just trying to get a covered area and then an area for a powder room behind it. It really takes another probably 8 feet behind where the existing decking is.
You have to figure how to make it smaller. You can do that. I know you can.
can you, what's your thoughts, any concerns? I mean, I know it's not a lot that we're going over either, I guess, just,
Yeah, I mean, I don't have any major concerns. It seems to be a small increase,
yeah.
but there is a lot of impervious coverage, but it does seem to be a small increase. I don't have any major concerns with them handling or managing the additional storm.
Which would come up next anyway, right, for once it starts to build? For, the stormwater would be the next phase anyway, so.
Yeah, I mean, this project probably wouldn't need to comply with our stormwater because it's gonna be less than 500 square feet of additional coverage.
Okay,
So unless there was a project that came after 2014, I mean, our stormwater ordinance requires impervious coverage to be cumulative. So if there had been a project that was approved that increased impervious coverage since 2014, we would add the new coverage to the existing. If it was over 500 square feet, there would be a requirement for stormwater management. If it wasn't, then it would fall under that threshold and stormwater management wouldn't be part of the building permit submission.
any questions or?
No, I mean, I'm just looking at, sorry, I'm looking at the pool house, so it looks like the pool house will encroach into the existing concrete decking, is that right?
That's right. I'm
Yeah.
using as much of the decking in order to keep there an area for us to put chairs or have kids pass through there.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to take as much of that as I can, so we don't have to count that as well. I'm just trying to add a little bit on the back of the existing decking that's there.
Yep.
And, obviously I would rather it be under the 25% allotment and not have to take your time, but I'm only asking for less than 1% additional allotment to do this, and our neighbors are supportive of it. And it is an
I
enhancement.
don't think they'll feel the 0.63%. You're,
I don't think they will either.
Right, thank you.
Tim, if this was something we were to approve, anything that we need to worry about putting in there?
Well, we'll put the standard conditions that they be compliant with stormwater regulations and the like, but I don't think there's anything unusual about this, and it's fairly de minimis, really, the increase, and it's not going to be a strong impact on the stormwater.
Charles, any more questions?
No, I just.
No, I know. Is there any way you can make it the size of his bedroom? What did you figure out what that was? It like how many square feet you have to cut down to meet that?
25
I, my, at, hopefully it was right, it was like.
Yeah, with that, I mean, that's a,
I think you're somewhere around. Pretty significant. 5 seconds.
no, I know, and I see the changes, looking at the walkway, trying to avoid that to add more, 6.3 on this. All right, does anybody want to make a motion?
I move we grant him the bids.
Got him to go, all right. All right, is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye. All right, motion carries.
All right. Well, thank you, everybody.
We'll You'll receive something.
Okay.
It's all standard.
I appreciate everyone's time. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you.
All right, next up is application Z 2024-21, Brian Mace, 4108 Battles Lane. Seeking variance relief from sections 172-100.15 subsection D, 2D, and F and 3D to allow pool to be built on the property that is in excess of the allowable impervious coverage within the floodplain management areas. Applicant requests relief from any other section of zoning ordinance that may be realized during the hearing process. This is in the R1 zoning district. Mr. Mace? All right, so before we do get started on yours, and I don't know, the letter that came in from Pannoni, there was was that from Pannoni, Andy, that we received? Yeah.
The township engineer did an evaluation and issued a letter on August 2nd. Explaining some of the issues related to the floodplain. This particular application is for the purpose of the constructing a pool, its equipment, patio, and barrier in to consider our floodplain. So from my perspective, there's a number of different zoning related items.
Mhm.
As part of that, I handed that application off to Kenneth for his review. And he ultimately produced the April 2nd letter. That outlined, I'm sorry, August 2nd. That outlined requirements from an engineering perspective.
Okay, and when we were talking, you were saying this now should be reviewed by their engineer
Well,
before?
yeah, I think a lot of the issues that the township engineer raises requires an engineering study to be done to prove that the improvements won't create an impact to the flood hazard district. And that the improvements won't alter the flow or the velocity of the flood waters that are associated with the flood zone, as well as all of the amenities. So they have to be protected from uplift. And thank you. Flotation, displacement, those types of things. So there's engineering that needs to be submitted back to the township engineer for review, really before I think this board can make a final decision.
So are you open to? No, and the letter was only sent to us even today,
Right.
but is this something you're open to in terms of a continuance? Sounds like it might be in your best interest to go that route. I'm sure this probably hasn't been an easy process anyway, dealing with floodplain, but
I mean, my whole house is.
yeah.
So it's like any improvement has to process. I
Right.
just
It does.
Would look for some direction as to what type of, is there any example of precedent?
Well,
There's very little guidance after.
no, I understand. And I mean, just to know, you were copied on that. Okay, I just want to make sure that you. I just want to make sure that you have a copy of it. If not, we've certainly gotten it to you. I'm not an engineer, so I can't really advise you. What I would suggest you do, if you have any specific questions, the township engineer can probably offer better guidance than I can. I think he'll probably suggest that you reach out to a civil engineer of your own choosing to do the flood study. I think that civil engineer will understand the requirements of the floodplain district better than you and I. So essentially, he's going to do an evaluation of the flood elevations on your property and the impact to your that your improvements will have on the floodplain. And that's the engineering that has to be reviewed.
Understood.
And that's not to say that if you do have an engineer, that the engineer will talk to the engineer, they may work it out.
Sure.
And alleviate many of the problems that if you're making your own presentation, that you won't be able to deal with. Because it, at the very least, if approved, it's going to be conditional on this.
No, understood. The original request was to go off and we did a very expensive topographical survey and had the engineers overlay their plans onto that survey. And I'm now gonna go back and have an additional significant cost. If I would have done it all at once, knowing that this would have been a requirement, it might have, offset some of the burden, but understood.
Do you want to do a continuance then? So that, I mean, there's multiple reasons to do that. One, you're not going to want to re-advertise that you're coming back in for this or pay any additional
Other
fees
application,
that
yeah.
for the
I
application.
mean, if
Okay,
you're willing to postpone it for, I don't know, 30 days or 60 days or 90 days, based on what you think you can accomplish in that time frame, then this board will consider that, and then you won't have to pay another fee or application.
I would request a continuance. Then.
So do we want to do 30 days for now if you didn't get it together, or do you think it's going to take longer?
I mean, my suggestion would go 90 days. If you would grant the board a continuance for 90 days, that's not to say that we have to hold the hearing in 90 days.
Okay,
But at least it'll be open. There won't be a requirement for.
rather than keep saying 30 days.
Right.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
I think with the engineering that's going to be involved and the fact that once the engineering is completed, then it's got to be submitted for review by our engineer, who can then, confer and make sure that he's in agreement with all the conclusions. I think it's going to be at a minimum of 60 days, and that's why I would suggest the 90.
Understood. Thank you.
So you all right with that then? Do we
Yep.
make a motion to approve a continuance or?
Yeah,
All right.
if he's making the request.
Yeah.
Then we'll make a motion to accept
All right.
and continue it.
All right, then I make a motion to approve a continuance for application Z 2024-21. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, all right. Motion carries. Good luck. Sorry.
Do we have a date, sir?
Yeah, that we should probably give a date.
I heard you say
90 days, yes. But if he gets it together prior to that, then he can reach out, right? Is that correct? To get in there sooner?
Yeah, I think that if he comes in, if prior to we have to advertise, we don't have to advertise, I'm sorry. But if your engineer is ready in 60 days, if you call the office and they can put you on the 60-day list.
Yeah.
It would be December 19th for the Thursday agenda. Or, I'm sorry, third Thursday.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
All right. Next up is application Z 2024-22, Ken Mathers and Wynn Foor, 3544 Winding Way. Applicant is seeking a special exception of section 172-33B subsection 6 and section 172-141F to allow for an expansion along the non-conforming side yard setback. The applicant also requests relief from any of the sections of the zoning ordinance that may be realized during the zoning hearing process. Subject premises located in the R2 zoning district. So we have Ken and Wynn here.
Yes.
All right. Is there anybody here on behalf of this application that wishes to make public comment or a party protestant? No one. All right, let's get them sworn in. All right. And Andy, is the file in order?
File is in order, township posted property with the notice of the next hearing. Fair notice of mail that notice to all properties within 200 feet of property boundary. And also we have received publication from Delco Times to advertise, the hearing is advertised.
All right.
Based on the representation of our zoning officer, I asked that the application presented by the
Number one, that the list of residents within 200 feet of the subject property be noted, that were notified, be township exhibit number 2, proofs of publication of 2 consecutive weeks of publication. The Daily Times be marked as township exhibit number 3, and the posting of the subject property for tonight's hearing would be township exhibit number 4. Also want to bring to the attention of the board that the record file indicates that there are 2 letters of support from on behalf of the applicant, Joe and Jackie Kostak, and Ed and Margaret Van Sternwick. One living at 3542 Winding Way, the other at 3546 Winding Way. I ask that those 2 pieces of correspondence be made part of the record on behalf of the applicant.
All right, that's everything, so the floor is yours.
What we're looking to do is, we previously had a variance for an addition on the back with a covered porch. And we put pea gravel off the porch for our, tables and chairs and things like that, and it's just not manageable. What we're looking to do is extend and put a patio off of the porch, to put our furniture and seating and things like that. We have people coming over, the covered porch is nice for two chairs to sit there on an afternoon, but if you have anybody over, it's just not workable there, so we're looking just to extend it out a little bit more.
All right, I'm just trying to get a better look at the
I know, it's muddled.
plan.
And you guys, I kind of put it like a bigger.
All right.
So here's a little diagram. Here's what we're asking for variance for the patio and then little koi pond. I've kind of highlighted where the variance will be. All right, I figured it's so muddled, I decided to do that.
So the addition's already there.
Yep.
Sorry.
Yeah.
And then the new deck is already there.
Yep, patio's there.
It's a covered patio,
But the new
or covered
deck
porch.
and the new spa pad are what we're talking about.
So we're-
Yeah, not really, the swim spa is not, that's gonna be more in the middle of the yard. We don't need a variance for that part. It's just the stone patio that we want to put off of the covered porch, which extends out about 10 feet, I think is what we're.
So this board approved an expansion along that non-conforming side yard previously, at least once prior.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
Twice.
unfortunately, this additional feature was not included in that original, in either of those original approvals, so it's yet a further expansion along that same non-conforming
Staying in line.
setback.
Yeah.
But it's staying in line.
But
with
it's only
everything,
for a patio,
Yeah.
and it is along that same existing line.
The last decision on the same subject was on March 2023.
Yeah, we built that. We're slowly building everything.
No, I know, it's a
and-
shame. Is there anything else you're gonna be doing that you want to throw in now?
Thank you. Believe me, I wish we threw it in originally,
I
but
know, that's,
once we had everything built, we looked at it. I mean, the eight
oh, you
foot
guys look familiar.
covered patio
No,
is,
fine.
yeah, the 8 foot covered patio is a little bit smaller. And then, by the time we started putting
It looks like.
everything out there.
We got to do
What's that?
Looks like you've been
Yeah.
here a few times.
Yes.
33.
Well, the first time we didn't know that it was only good for 6 months. And then
We hadn't
We did-
purchased the house, this is the house that he grew up in, so his mother essentially didn't move out. And so when she went to White Horse Village, then we're like, okay, oh crap, we missed it by weeks. So we had to refile it, and now we're ready to add the additional patio for the tables and chairs.
There's no impact on, well, there is, but there's nothing that puts over the impervious coverage. Limits with this.
I don't know.
no, we're below the
Side yard.
impervious coverage. We just have to deal with a little additional stormwater management. We're gonna,
And
we have to
that's
figure that out.
underway.
Okay. All right. Any questions from your side, Andy? Any?
No.
All right. Make a motion.
Yeah, sure. Okay, I will make a motion to approve the special exception for application 172-33B, and section 172-141F, allowing for an expansion of the non-conforming existing side yard setback to allow for the patio to be constructed.
Can we add that there would be a condition for stormwater management and the other standard conditions for these types of applications?
Yes.
All right. Is there a second? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. I will see you for the next one.
Yeah. Second time I went. By the way, second time I went tandem skydive, main chute failed. Yep.
On the video, they said, oh, that failed too.
Next up is application Z 2024-23, Angeline and Andrew Brezak. 125 Brookside Road, applicant is seeking variance relief from section 172-104 to allow for a fence on a corner lot. Applicant also requests relief from any other section of zoning ordinance that may be realized during the zoning hearing process. Subject premise is located in the R2 zoning district. Are you, Mr. and Mrs. Brezak? Did I say it right?
Brezak.
Brezak, all right.
You'll
Sorry, it's awfully Slavic.
Just like it's.
Yeah, and is there anybody here on behalf of this application to public comment or public comment? Okay, not a party protestant, and just the party protestant piece would be if you wanted to appeal any decisions that are made here tonight, that you would just go on the record as a party protestant, so you have that option. So we'll have you stand up, just state your address. Did you receive one of the letters? Okay, do you want to just stand up, give your address so that we can get you on the record?
Sure, so Matt Hansel. 127. That's right, HAN.
All right. Well, he'll come up to the podium. That's fine for now. All right, so swear on me, yeah, it's good.
I do.
And Andy, is the file in order?
Files in order, property was posted. We also prepared notice and mailed to all property owners within 200 feet of the boundary. And we received proof of publication from Delco Times that the hearing was advertised on 2 separate occasions.
Chairman, based on the representation of our zoning officer, I ask that the application and accompanying documents and exhibits presented by the applicant be marked as Township Exhibit number 1. The list of residents within 200 feet of the subject property be marked as Township Exhibit number 2. Proofs of publication of 2 consecutive weeks of publication in the Delaware County Daily Times be marked as Township Exhibit number 3. And the pictures of the actual posting of the property for tonight's appearance would be marked as Township Exhibit number 4.
Right, they are admitted. All right, all yours, take us through.
So as you see in the picture, we're looking to just get a few sections of wooden fence put in. Our main priority is safety. We have 2 young children, a 1-year-old and a 6-year-old. I don't know how many of you drive down Brookside Road. That stop sign at Brookside and Furlong, nobody stops. We do have a YouTube video that we put together, if that would be helpful, that we could share. So again, our main priority is the safety for our kids. So in addition to the wood fencing, we do plan to put in some garden beds to kind of enclose the property a little bit more.
She says some. It's gonna look like an arboretum.
Yeah, so very, we're already working with Mike Wozniak on some plans for that. So,
Yes.
you know, we only want the fencing in a few select areas, and then a lot of the other safety enclosement would be done with gardening.
Yeah.
So that's why it's being done in sections like that. You're
Yeah.
planning on putting,
So the first one that's at the corner of the property, that's just going to be a small picket fence in the bottom right-hand corner. That's 5 sections of
you're talking about the bottom right?
bottom right, yeah. Yeah, right there. That's 5 sectionals of cedar picket fence, and most of the outside of that is going to be covered with bedding. Grasses, things like that. I plan on planting a few trees as well. So that's really just a decorative piece. And then there is on the left side of the property, you can see that it comes past the property just a little bit. That's my driveway right there that comes down onto Brookside. Well, on the left side of that house where the 4 circles are, those are ship laurel I just had put in. And that is a hill. That's a big hill right there that you can't do anything on except maybe kill your grass with a slip and slide. So what we're looking for is on the other side is a big drop off. It's our neighbor's driveway. And so what we kind of want to combat is our kids going off into the driveway over that fence over the edge of the, what is it, cliff, a wall. And then we want to stop our kids from going off into the neighbor's driveway, because we've had our kids have friends over. And they, at this age, they don't really understand that there's boundaries. And there's a big, long driveway and there's no indication of any boundary going down after that ship laurel. Now, we intend to bring it 28, I'm
It's 26 feet
sorry,
off the curb,
26
so there's
feet off the curb.
plenty of space for them to pull in and out of their driveway safely.
Right.
That was one of our big concerns. We wanted to make sure that there was no loss of visibility for them, but also add a level of privacy for us.
Right.
Because when you're coming down the hill on Brookside, you can see our entire yard.
We're the horn of the neighborhood. We're
So-
the absolute pinnacle of the neighborhood.
That's the purpose of that section there.
And then there's the middle one that's, yes, that. So that sectional right there, there's mini roses. It's, we want to put in a pergola just so that you can walk through. And then the line going up is again, just, that doesn't go anywhere close to the edge of the property. That's really just, how many feet is that?
45 feet from Furlong Avenue.
I mean, this right here.
Oh, yeah, that's 16 feet.
Yeah, so 16 feet from the house and then only a 24-foot back.
So I'm just looking even at the corner one, and is there any concern you've ever like line of sight? Like how far is that corner, what you're doing in the bottom right corner, being where the two streets intersect?
Oh, no, that's,
How many feet off of the curb are you gonna be with that?
I was gonna do about 6 feet off the curb. Yeah,
So Andy, does that bring up any concern there, being at the corner with doing the fencing that's gonna be right there for line of sight for people making a turn there?
It doesn't appear like anything will impact the clear sight triangle at the intersection
Okay.
or at the Brookside and Furlong intersection, nor does it appear that it'll impact the clear sight triangle at where the driveway intersects Brookside, simply because of that 26-foot dimension off the curb. So I don't think it's an issue with, I don't think there's any concern on my part from the clear sight triangle.
Is there any reason from talking about this being a safety concern to, on the left-hand side there, where you're showing the bushes or whatever you're putting there to not just
that's,
cross there?
well,
Just saying
so,
from keeping the kids if you're.
yeah, so that driveway, the whole piece of our property there slopes radically.
So I'm looking at it on street
Ye-
view.
Okay,
Yeah.
I
And we
apologize,
printed
gentlemen.
pictures and
We
forgot to
did,
bring
we
them.
printed out pictures. We had them all printed with figures and everything to show you guys. Fortunately, trying to get out the door with the kids and everything, it was,
As long as you haven't changed, have you changed it since May of 23?
Well, we've changed the bushes. It was arborvitae. We replaced it with skip laurel, but.
It is tough to
it's-
tell how much of a slope is there. It doesn't.
I
look
will
that
say, we went sledding on that hill and
Yeah.
I went straight onto Brookside Road.
it took you out past Brookside Road, almost in the neighbor's driveway. It's
Very steep, yeah.
about a 7-foot incline in the backyard between the house and those ship laurel. But the decline from the garage down to the street, and then from the house, the way that the property is on an entire slope. And it's a pseudo underground build. And it just, the whole thing goes downward, and the kids want to get on anything, they chase a ball. It goes right out to the street, almost in any direction. It goes to Brookside, it goes to Furlong.
Well, I think that's why I'm saying I'm just surprised you're not closing it off to keep it.
But that's-
Oh, no.
So we want to do the gardening. We don't
Yeah.
want to enclose it with fence.
We would really like
You
to
know,
do
we like
much
to be
more.
able to look out into the
Arbor.
neighborhood. So we really want to just do some tasteful gardening to, that will be how we get the enclosure.
Right.
So if a ball goes out, it gets stopped by the gardening. It doesn't have to be stopped by a fence.
Right, you have
Um,
deep mulch beds and things like that they get stopped by.
And Mr. Hansel, right?
Yeah.
Where are you at with where you live in?
So we're on 127, so it's off to the right.
So on the other side of the street
yeah,
there?
they're on the other side of the bushes and the.
Yeah, along the 26 for it is the fence to the left. Looking at like the aerial view.
I'm just looking at it as, yeah.
Kind of like they were right up.
Do you have any questions of the applicant?
Question is really,
I can wait till
You can actually, if you want to just move up here this way when you do have questions, because you have, being a party protestant, you have the right to cross-examine any testimony that he does give, you know, which we will wait to the end. I know right now it's kind of us asking questions, trying to figure out this layout of what this fence will be.
What it is mostly is it's giving us a little bit of privacy that we don't otherwise have on the property at all.
Because of the vast corner.
Because of its a vast corner lot, you have the entire property is out on display. So what you see in fencing, I intend to quadruple on the property with arbor. I intend for bedding to go all around the property, very tasteful. And again, the fencing is rusticraft cedar, very tasteful.
And it has a lifetime workmanship guarantee.
Yeah,
so there's
that's
no
the
risk
other
of
thing.
it. There's a lifetime workmanship guarantee, so there's no risk of it, you know, deteriorating or anything like that. So it's gonna maintain
Oh,
a high
So
quality.
it's just like a 3-post rail, would, are you doing a wooden picket fence or?
So the front
it's-
is a 4-foot picket, and then the sides are 5 foot with a 1 foot privacy lattice.
And they're wooden?
Yes,
Yeah,
everything's
cedar.
wooden. Everything's cedar. And then around the garden where the 24-foot fence is, the gentleman from Rusticraft did say that's still technically front yard. So the Rusticraft, the fencing company. So that is really, that's solely privacy, that piece. We've had solicitors walk up to us while we're eating dinner, because right now there's just that little metal fence and you can see right over it.
Yeah,
So we just have no sense of privacy.
several people have just wandered up to us just to talk when in a place where we feel like we should have.
Is the metal fence going away?
Yeah, we'll take
Oh,
out
yeah,
the
yeah,
small metal.
the
fence
the
that's
mortician's fence, yeah.
Questions?
If, like. And this is a question maybe for Andy, so, sorry, I'll turn on the microphone. So in the application, it says that they're seeking relief, allowing a fence on a corner lot. So. Our. Code doesn't allow for any fence on a corner lot, period?
Yeah, to be more clear, it's on a corner lot because it affects both front yards,
Yeah,
but it affects both front yards because it extends beyond the front face of the home.
gotcha.
So we allow fencing, we just don't allow fencing beyond the front face of the home.
Okay.
Which the setback of our house makes that our entire yard.
Right.
No, I understand.
Yeah, and there's also children that wait for the bus, outside of our house, and that's one of the reasons why I intended for everything to be set back a little bit. I really want a place for people to be able to walk in our neighborhood, to be able to get out of the way of some of the traffic, especially coming down Furlong. It's just such a steep hill and people hit it going so fast, and you kind of feel like you gotta step off the road. And I really want to,
Yeah,
Make it
leave
nice
space
and-
for that and for utilities to access the poles and
yeah.
things like that.
yep.
Excuse me, and why don't you want them to have this?
Our biggest concern, like, the privacy, safety, we did that. Our biggest concern for us. Byway.
And that is why we wanted that 26 feet, we
26.
wanted
Yep.
way more than enough space for you guys to
Yep.
get out safely, because we have that same concern. We don't want anything to happen to you trying to leave your property.
Right.
That's, the furthest thing from,
Yeah, and that's why I wanted to make it big enough. You get a truck or something like that. That way you
Yeah,
still
even
have that visible
a
site.
contractor would be able to
Yeah,
easily
your
get on it.
contract, you got guys with trucks coming in and out. Make it so that they can see. I don't want them backing out and then with everybody running that
Yeah.
stop sign the way they do.
Yep.
Don't need that. No,
And you guys walk, so you, the,
right.
Concerned about hopping into it, but.
You gotta.
And you guys, yeah, we need you guys to-
Come sit at this table. It'd be a lot easier for them to see you.
Here,
You
take
can,
this.
You know,
Sure. You don't want to.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't think I said my name. I'm Lisa Siverdelli. I live at 127 Brookside with Matt Hansel here. Siverdelli, CIA Bardelli. And I do think just the biggest thing is that it's 6 feet tall, solid wood fence, and only 26 feet, which is like 2 car lengths, we thought, from the street, because our driveway, we also sit back. It is a slope, as they're saying, the 2 lots, because we're right next door. It just seemed like 26 feet wouldn't be enough if we requested either come back closer to the house or cut off where the rules state. That's the concern we have.
So what do you want them to do? You want them to be lower? Do you want them to be further back? What's your concern?
Just trying to figure out what you're looking to see them change here. Do you not want the fence there? Do you want it to be lower than 6 feet?
Yeah, so I mean, like honestly, so obviously it's your decision, but if you were to approve it, then we could say, maybe we can drop it to like 4 feet for the height, or in line with the house, either or.
My thing is that coming out of my driveway, I have 2 garage doors.
Yep.
And with this street being a cut through, I have every single and the house across from my driveway is an
assisted living.
an assisted living. So I have a rotation of employees from the inner city that come all the time. So I can't leave my garage doors open. I feel as though my tools are on display. And what this gives me is a little bit of privacy from everybody coming down the road, because this is my kids playing on this piece of land between the fence and the driveway. It's pretty substantial.
Do you think that going to a 4-foot, because I will tell you right now that when these situations come up with something like this, obviously it's nice to hear input from a neighbor to say, look, if we're willing to give you this, to find some sort of a in between here to make it work, that,
Right.
2 feet on a fence and everything you're talking about in terms of
So
bushes,
it is-
things like that you're planning.
It's 5 foot with a 1 foot lattice.
Yeah.
So the
There's
whole
nothing
6
gonna
foot is
grow on it.
solid.
Right.
If that
can see-
changes
see
anything.
right through it.
They're 26 feet off. That's 2.5 car lengths off the curb.
Yes,
It's 2.5 car lengths from the curb to where the fence starts.
the lattice top.
So I mean,
Well-
if you're concerned about pulling out of your driveway, that's 2.5 car lengths. I mean, seems to be a lot for me.
Okay.
And if he's got a daycare, if you both have the daycare across the street, not just him.
No, we
Yeah.
I
mean,
understand.
Yeah.
So I mean, you both got the same, it seems to be the, and like, seems like there would be an extra lot of traffic there. I mean, I would also
the
think that his fence
intersection.
is also gonna help you with your privacy as well, because he's kind of, his angle at the corner was really, it's good for you with the angle. No one's
much
really
of the
seeing
front
inside
yard.
your house either, so he's kind of cutting you a good one, I would think. That's just, I mean, 26 feet's a lot. That's 2.5 car lengths.
You know the distance from the curb to the garage?
It's about 50 feet. It was the one reason why we don't want to pull it further up, like, I don't know if you guys, like, the kids ride their bikes across the yard. And my biggest fear is that they go across your driveway by accident while you guys are backing up. Like,
That's a pretty big.
that scares me. We try not to let them. So our kids can't ride bikes because we don't want them to ride in. So if we have it down into the lawn a little bit, there's at least a target for them to go to. So they're not going to that open space. And then the same, like I said, with the sledding, we slid down and we literally just shot across your driveway straight onto Brookside Road. And had there been some fencing there, we could have, angled a little bit to hit the fence. And thank God there wasn't a car coming, because Trent went right onto Brookside Road. And like, I couldn't chase him because it was ice. So it was absolutely terrifying. And then we haven't sled since. And the main reason we liked that hill was because it looked like the perfect sledding. So. Because we've only
Can you-
lived there
can
for a year.
Can you
so.
drop it a foot for them? It's kind of a compromise kind of situation so that it's,
The 4 foot with the lattice, the 1 foot lattice.
well, I don't, you guys can work out what it is, but just trust your neighbors.
Sorry, a
Is
height.
that like
In
instead
other
of?
words,
6
instead of
feet,
6 foot, make it 5.
like
The
instead of 5
combination's
foot
up
with
to
a
you
foot
guys.
lattice,
That's up to you
A
two.
slightly shorter fence.
Well, then nothing's visibly covering everybody who's coming down the hill from Brookside. Now, you're still achieving absolutely no.
Over 1 foot?
Yeah, well, if you're standing there on that side, the lattice fence, you can see right through it. So if you're standing there and you're 5 foot or above, you're looking right through it, but anybody who's coming down the road, they're not looking through the lattice fence and seeing you as they're coming down the road. And with the hill, now I'm looking at my garage doors. I apologize. I'm very visual person. So I'm looking at my garage doors and I'm standing in my driveway. And now I've got coverage that's high enough and everybody who's coming down the road is looking at my family sitting, playing, what have you, in this space that we want to use. So it's also a visual. It's a visual for us and for everybody who's coming down the road to not see us because we are so on display in this property. Love the property, want to make the property as much arbor, more art. That's why I don't want any more fencing. Less fencing. The height, love the height. Height's perfect. Makes it so that nobody can see me. I can't see anybody. I have just a little bit of privacy in my garden, in my side yard. Nobody's looking at my tools coming up. Everything's fine. I
Could this
would like
just
to, I
be-
would really like to not go
Could
down
this be
so low,
avoided by
but
not doing a fence and just doing your plantings or whatever you're putting there for privacy? Why does it have to be a fence? I'm just saying, it seems like your biggest thing is privacy and not, we get people asking for a fence. It seems very much about keeping something in, where this does not seem to be about that. It seems to be a way to block your tools in your garage. Why not
Well,
plant
this is
bushes there?
this is a place for that way my kids don't hit it and go right through the bush.
Listen, I live in a corner house on a much busier street. I do not have any of these problems or concerns. So I gotta be honest, I'm not very sympathetic here in what you're asking for and trying to say, look, find some way to work this out for what they're asking for how far you're looking to go down. Yeah, I'm looking at it on Google Earth and seeing 26 feet. Still is a lot of their driveway that's covered there. So all I'm saying here is find some way to meet somewhere in the middle. I don't think that's a bad ask.
Nope, I understand.
So what are we thinking here then?
I don't know.
Please. Would you like to do the?
You want to go less than 26 feet, looking
No,
at
I'd
that,
like to keep it that long because I really.
And is this something that matters to you guys to say this 1 foot, is that going to make a difference? I don't want to just punish them in some way because you're saying this, but is that something that you
Yeah,
feel
I'm
is?
curious as to why that height with the lattice see through. I mean,
Well, our garage is even farther back than Northwoods where we park our cars. We just come in and out of the driveway and it's probably closer to 100 feet from curb. So we felt the 26 feet. I can turn probably a dozen times before I even get halfway down to check the intersection, Brookside Furlong, and to check the other side of Brookside. If I can't then look until I'm 2 car lengths to the street at the 26 feet, we just felt it would be even more. We already tried to be as careful as possible, but it would just be more caution every time we're in and out of the driveway and we park in the garage, which is all the way up. So we just felt the 26 feet wasn't enough. It's truly the concern.
I know.
If the fence was 6 feet high still, but it stayed in line with the front of the room, would that satisfy your concerns?
I think it'd be a compromise, yes.
But then that defeats what
But
you're
that-
going
that's
for.
defeats
I know,
it.
I get
Right.
it.
Could it be see-through? Could it not be solid
Or something
wood,
else, right.
maybe? Or that defeats the purpose
yeah,
as the request?
that defeats a lot of the purpose, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you would like me to bring it down in height?
No, that
I
was,
just, I think there's.
that was,
Or back.
that was my compromise. I thought that would do complete 90% of what you're after.
Right.
And you're talking about kids. you
Yeah.
know, And unless you have 6-foot kids.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, I look
5
at
foot-
everything
5 foot
through
would
six,
work.
I'm biased, I do look at everything through 6-foot eyes, right? So,
And again, that was
right,
my thing to compromise is because you guys, all said and done, you guys gotta live next door. When you leave here, you're gonna see each other more than I'm gonna see you. And it's just a compromise. I can see where they're coming from. But I also can see where you're coming from with children and the concern about the roads and people running out and 26 feet off of the street line is a lot. I mean, but problem here is their house sits back further than your house. Your garage is in the front and their garage is in the side.
yes, sir.
So, their traverse to the street behind your fence and your hedges is in their mind's eye a little bit longer than it is for you.
Right,
But they need to understand the fact that, in fact, that their driveway is longer than yours, so their traverse is gonna be greater than your traverse. But, you're kind of dealing with, trying to protect your family and your view and your children. And I understand that. I understand that dilemma you're in, and I made the 5 foot figure, well, you know what, you're giving up a little bit and they're giving up a little bit, so.
I would do that, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
It's a 4-foot solid, 1-foot lattice. But you guys have SUVs, you're a little higher off the ground.
You
If
okay with that?
it won't move 26 feet, then I would take that as a.
Okay,
Yeah,
so the 26
second
feet is really.
26 feet's a lot. 2.5 car lengths is a lot. I mean,
Okay.
that's.
Yeah, we're not disagreeing that,
you know,
If
it's-
it
it's a long
was
driveway, too.
1 car
Yeah.
length, I would be more prone to see your side, but. Yeah, and again, the problem is your house sits so far back further than theirs does, so it appears for you a more difficult view than it is for them, but
Yes.
for them, they're a lot closer to the street, so they're getting there, their kids are getting there faster than you are.
If anybody drives like a Mini Cooper, it's like 5 car lengths, so.
Motorcycle, maybe,
Subjective.
thank you.
All right, any other questions, All right,
I think we should grant them, the variance relief from section 172-104 fence, with the stipulation that it be no higher than 5 feet.
all right,
Is
is there a
that 5
second?
Just for clarification, the 5 feet are
On the
on
driveway
all of
side.
the fences or just the driveway?
Just the driveway.
Just the driveway.
I think that's fair, because there's nothing else around the other sides.
Yeah,
So it's the
Right.
driveway fence is 5 feet, any place else is 6.
yeah, and then the picket is 4, but that's a completely
Yeah,
different
that's
style
just-
fence,
Okay.
so.
Yep, is there a second?
Second.
All right. Motion, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, motion carries. Good luck, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, gentlemen.
Next up is application Z 2024-24 for 3744 Newtown Square. It's the address for the property here. Property at 3744 Westchester Pike. The applicant is seeking variance relief from section 172-66G to allow for the expansion of a non-conforming building into the front yard setback. Applicant also requests is seeking special exception of section 172-66A to allow the continuance of a non-conforming site area of less than 35,000 square feet. Applicant requests relief from any other sections of the zoning ordinance that may be realized during a zoning process. Subject premises located in the O zoning district. Andy, is the file in order?
Hi, how are you?
Thank you, still Pat. How are you? All right.
There you go.
Looks like everybody's here for this application and it's left, so, are you public comment?
This is Dr. Shaw. He's the principal of the applicant.
Good enough, all right, Andy, is the file in order?
The file is in order. The property was physically posted by property maintenance officer We sent mailings to every property owner within 200 feet of the property boundary, and we also submitted and received proof of publication from Delco Times that the hearing was advertised on 2 separate occasions.
Right?
Mr. Chairman, based on the representation of our zoning officer, I ask that the application and the accompanying documents and exhibits presented by the applicant be marked as Exhibit Township Exhibit number 1. That the list of all residents within 200 feet of the subject property that were provided notice for tonight's hearing be marked as Township Exhibit number 2. Proofs of publication in the Daily Times on 2 consecutive weeks be marked as Exhibit Township number 3. And that the posting of the subject property for tonight's hearing be marked as Township Exhibit number 4.
All right, they are admitted. And did we get these gentlemen sworn in already?
I did.
All right.
Good evening. My name is Michael Nassif. I'm the attorney representing Dr. Shaw. He's the principal of 3744 Westchester Pike LLC, the owner of the property that we're here for tonight. He's with me. We're here seeking zoning relief for the addition of an entryway and an elevator. Dr. Shaw plans to use the property as a dental practice, which is in conformity with the zoning requirements. My right here is Michael Kinsley. He is with senior architect with Lynn Architects. He's prepared the drawings and the plan, provide testimony in this regard. Part of this, and under A1 in your packet, is the deed of the property. With that, we'll start with Mr. Kinsley.
Good evening. My name is Michael Kinsley. I'm senior architect with Lynn Architects. I've been practicing architecture for 25 years, most recently last 3 years with Lynn. We have over 40 years of experience in architectural, civil engineering, code officiating. In addition, I've served in a previous life on the Media Planning Commission. So I'm very familiar with the zoning, land development, comprehensive plan processes. I'm glad to be here.
In the packet, we have marked A2 as Mr. Kinsley's CV. Now I ask Mr. Kinsley, has he ever been identified as an expert before any other zoning hearing?
Yes, I have appeared before many other zoning hearing boards.
Admitted then.
Right. So can you describe the existing property?
Sure. I've handed out to, before I do, I've handed out to the board members a packet of exhibits providing visuals as well as additional information in support of the variance or the relief requested. You'll notice that the tabs are numbered starting 21. Some of you may have that. That just means that we've tried to reuse and reduce the amount of paper waste we're generating. So I appreciate any forgiveness.
Was throwing me off.
In that regards. Yeah, so the existing property, it's located at the southwest corner of Westchester Pike and Row Lane. It's in the office district. This gross site area is 53,450 square feet. That includes right-of-ways of 120 feet on Westchester Pike and 40 feet along Row Lane. Which brings the net site area to 33,664 square feet. We've got frontage of 267.25 feet along Westchester Pike and 200 linear feet along Row Lane. And for that, you can reference A3, that would be tab 23. That's existing site plan labeled C1 dated August 16th, 2024. Those are the existing conditions.
Can you describe the surrounding property?
Sure. I'll reference exhibit A4, which is photos of the surrounding properties. To the west, we have 3748 Westchester Pike. That's a 2-story office building that has shared driveway access with the applicant property from both School Lane and Row Lane. To the north is the Ellis Preserve mixed use, commercial, residential, retail development. To the east are professional office buildings, including some orthopedic, plastic surgery, medical services, financial planning services. And then to the south is a single-family residential neighborhood. As far as the property itself, I'll reference Exhibit A5. You'll see we start with an aerial view. So the existing property, it's has a existing two-story, 2,563 square foot building. Most recently housed behavioral health services, also a medical use. There are two existing access drives, School Lane on the west and Row Lane immediately to the east, directly behind our building. There currently is parking for 22 on site, and the existing impervious is 46.4%.
And what kind of work is proposed, the subject of the application?
So there's a couple exhibits I'll reference here. One is A6, which is the proposed site plan, and I've handed you full-size copies of an updated plan. That drawing's labeled C1, and it's dated September 16th, 2024. The only difference between that and what was submitted in the zoning application is we've updated the parking counts based on the we had a glitch in the original parking counts. And then A7 I'll be referencing, or I provided for your reference, is the architectural plan so that you can see what the intent of the interior layout is, including the elevator that's being proposed to be added to the building. So mainly, the project is it's mainly driven around site regrading requirements to create an accessible path of access from the parking area to the building. We're also proposing to add on a 192 square foot addition that will house a new accessible entryway, as well as an elevator serving both floors. We're also proposing additional site improvements for parking upgrades. We're going to be doing some relaying out of the parking to comply with the zoning ordinance for parking. I think it's figure 7 of the parking lot diagram, which requires landscape islands every 90 feet, et cetera. So we're going to be bringing the parking not only into compliance with the total count, but also the layout itself. And then lastly, we'll be doing interior upgrades, not related to zoning, but I want to share that we're doing interior improvements to accommodate dental offices, which is an approved use within the office district. Generally, it's going to be general practice on the first floor and pediatrics and orthodontics on the second floor, as well as bringing the rest of the building up to compliance with building and accessibility codes. Talking about the parking, I mentioned that the current parking is 22. That's undersized for the building today as it exists without any additions in the office district. We're going to be using the ratio in the zoning code for office buildings that are over 1,000 square feet. We're required to provide 4.5 spaces for every 1,000 square feet of gross floor area. This calculates out to 25 spaces, 26 maybe. Either way, we're providing 28 spaces, so we're over the required parking for an office.
I was going to say, you prepared a zoning summary, which has been marked as Exhibit A8. That gives over.
Yes, this is
some of the nonconformities and the nonconformities being corrected. Do you want to review that with?
Yeah, this is sort of the cheat sheet, right? I always find it helpful to give everything sort of a one pager to help out, get to the chase, right? So, office building is an allowed use in the office district, and that includes dental offices, as I mentioned. There are currently 4 existing nonconformities on the site, 2 of which we're going to eliminate. One which we're requesting to continue under a special exception, and the 4th we're requesting a variance for. we're gonna be expanding that nonconformity, which requires us to, seek a variance. So the first one was is a residential, 20-foot residential buffer. Because we have a residential neighborhood to the south of us, we're required to put at a 20-foot buffer. Right now, there's a big concrete pad in that 20-foot buffer. It was used for an air compressor for a previous tenant. The compressor's gone, but the pad's still there. We're going to take that out. We're going to remove it, landscape that area so that the buffer, the 20-foot buffer, will be restored. So that nonconformity will be eliminated. Parking requirements I mentioned, we're underparked now. We're going to bring it into compliance with parking requirements, so that nonconformity will be eliminated. The third is the minimum lot area. Office district requires 35,000 square feet. We are 33. Down here somewhere. 64. Yeah, we can't change that, right? So, but we want to. So we're requesting a special exception to continue that existing nonconformity. And then the last one is the front yard setback, which is mainly brings us here tonight. So right now the existing building is 9.5 inches past the front yard setback. That's 40 feet along Westchester Pike for the office district. The proposed addition is going to increase that. We're going to extend into the front yard setback to 6.3 feet. That's why we need the variance.
Is that the entry? Is that where the elevator and entryway?
That's the new entryway into the building that brings it into compliance with accessibility code requirements.
Is it across the whole, like, front of the building?
No, if you look in the plan, it's really just the northwest corner. Most of the addition is actually on the west side of the building. There's a portion of it that sort of L brackets around the front, that corner. And where
this entrance is that
Yeah.
one that's going to get?
Yeah, that's exactly right. So we're gonna build out about 8 or 9 feet to the west, which is, within our build-to line. And then along the north edge, we're gonna extend out 6.3 feet into the setback.
Do we have, I guess, the answer on your next page? I was just wondering if we have anything else along Westchester Pike that's that close to.
There are some other properties adjacent. I will, I'll explain, I'll capture that.
Okay.
So there's a few reasons why we're asking for the variance here. I'm gonna reference, I provided some photos of that entryway that you just pointed to try and show it's hard to see in the photos, but we've got grades exceeding 10% slope, where 15% slope, where 8.3 is the max for accessibility. We've also got some cross slopes there. Basically, the whole sidewalk kind of does this. It slopes in all different ways. We've got cross slopes of over 5%. 2% is the max there. So in order to create an accessible path from the parking, we have to relocate the parking to an area that is under 2% cross slope. So we're moving the handicap parking further west, and then we're creating an access sidewalk that's over 40 feet long that gets us to the building. We have to traverse 3.5 feet of vertical distance. That's requiring an access path of 40 feet. That's starting to push us out into the front yard setback, and that's why the addition extended out with it. In addition, we've also added an entry door that faces, we kept an entry door that faces Westchester Pike as it does today. Then we've also created a set of entry doors that faces the parking area. That way we have access for both we're creating an access entry for both parking clients who park, as well as people who may be coming from the street.
To follow up on your question, Michael, A10, if you review that with them with regard to the front yard setback along Westchester Pike?
Yes,
To the neighborhood?
so that would be page 30, I believe. So I mentioned the properties to the east. They sit in the C1 commercial district, which has a 20-yard setback. We have a 40-foot front yard setback. Theirs is 20. But there's 5 properties along immediately to the east that are either well, they extend past that front yard setback. In many cases, they're right up to the right-of-way line. What we're asking is to extend 6.3 feet into the 40-yard setback, but we're well behind any of those other properties that are further to the east. Now, I realize that these are two different zoning districts and two different requirements, but I also want to reference the comprehensive plan, 2016 comprehensive plan, which looks to unify these districts into one neighborhood or one district, one multiple use zone, capturing office and commercial. To me, when I look at that and I see the spirit of it, it treats these properties that are in the office zone the same way as the properties in the commercial zone. You've also got language in the comprehensive plan that refers to creating a more pedestrian-friendly environment within this new multiple use zone. So we're simply trying to get in front of what we think might be resulting in future zoning changes. And really bringing this office building, which has the same function, medical offices, as the properties to the east, aligned.
Are you familiar with the zoning requirements for the granting of a variance?
I am, and they align with the Pennsylvania Municipalities Planning Code, the 5 hardships.
You kind of touched on this before, but are any unique physical conditions or characteristics of the property that create this need?
Yeah, it's the grading that of the current entryway. It's not qualified as steep slope, but it's too steep to provide an accessible entryway into the building. In addition to accessibility code and building codes, dental offices have to meet certain requirements for their medical licenses, governmental agencies to be licensed, including full accessibility on all floors for their patients and their employees. So existing building code may allow some leeway in bringing a building up to full accessibility compliance, but we have other requirements here that are driving us to create not only the elevator, an addition for an elevator, but also to create a fully accessible path of entrance from the parking, path of entrance from that parking, and access into the building. So it's that steepness that's really driving this.
And any of these hardships, were they self-created by the applicant?
No. They exist today.
Now, if this relief was granted by the board, would this create any kind of change in the essential character of the neighborhood?
No, and again, I'll reference back to exhibits A10 and A11, you know, that aerial view of the neighborhood adjacent, you know, to the east. It's in line with it's actually not even in line with those buildings in their proximity to the street. It doesn't change any of the vehicular access to to or from the site. And I think it fits into the spirit of the comprehensive plan, which, you know, I read it as aligning and unifying the office and commercial districts with respect to the residential neighborhood. There's language in there that specifically talks about being respectful to the residential neighborhood. And I feel we're doing that. This addition is all to the front. We're not doing anything to increase or encroach to the residents in the rear. In fact, we're taking away a concrete pad and reducing and eliminating that nonconformity.
If this relief was granted, would it impair the ability to use or develop the adjacent parcels?
No, it would have no impact on the ability to. It would have no effect on any adjacent properties.
Would it be detrimental to the health, safety, or welfare of the community?
No. In fact, I mean, as a dental office, I would think that it would support, you know, improve access to the healthcare. You the applicant had a fun fact he shared with me that Newtown Square is underserved by dental services. Average dentist to resident ratio is 1 to 1,700. Newtown Square is about 1 to 6,500. I would say that we're actually helping to improve access to healthcare.
Does take a long time for me to get an appointment.
Is this the variance request, is this the minimum relief necessary?
Yes. To keep it short, yes. I mean, that means to expand on building codes and zoning codes don't always align. You know, they do sometimes, but sometimes they don't. And in this case, we have requirements to make this building 100% accessible. And with this type of, the site conditions that we're dealing with, it makes it very difficult. And this is the minimum solution that I feel, delivers is a good compromise in delivering for all the requirements.
I'm just curious in seeing, obviously that this is being built onto the front corner of the building, and no reason, or it couldn't have been done on the back corner or just right on the side where it wouldn't be coming out into the front yard setback?
Yeah, so the rear, there's a stairwell in the rear.
Okay.
And when we looked at the extent of the ramp, I don't want to call it a ramp because we're actually going to we want to make it so that it's a gentler slope than you would have for an 8% handicap ramp. It's pushing us further out, and that way we're bringing the building out to meet the grading requirements of that entry path.
Andy, I know you were starting to ask something and got.
Yeah, I just wanted to add one point of clarification. Basically explained it perfectly, but most of your testimony was on the building expansion without really discussing that front landing and ramp that goes a bit further into that front yard. Our ordinance has a definition for front yard that gives an exception of 42 inches for ramps, stairs, landings, and that type of amenity that serves a building, whether it's a commercial building or a residential home. So because we're talking about encroaching into the front yard of the building, that also must include the additional encroachment with the front landing ramp. So as I believe what you show on your plan is an additional 5 feet. So I think the total encroachment is going to be 11.3. And then,
So you're saying we're gonna be at around 28 feet then, as opposed to, because you're saying 33 and you're talking about an additional 5, is that?
no, I'm just saying that the building, as testified to, is expanding the nonconformity by adding into that nonconforming building or front yard by 6 feet. The landing and the ramp that's associated with it goes a bit further and closer to Westchester Pike.
Got you, just
So
that.
because of our definition, I think we just have to recognize that.
Okay.
I'm not opposed to it. I'm just saying it needs to recognize.
Yeah. Yeah, the building itself is 6.3 feet. Then there's another 5 feet of side. Yeah, and that's sort of where we set the line for the sidewalk. You're right.
That's
like-
not taken into account when we say the 33 that we're at now, that's just the building. The building's
The
front yard
building
setback.
itself, just the face of the
Not what you're
building.
saying,
is
which would then be the
6.3,
patio.
and
Got
then, yeah,
it.
the
Totally.
access sidewalk that
I
leads
understand.
to it is another 5 feet.
Okay. And Andy, any other concerns with something like this, or even with
No, I
those
just-
setbacks?
and point of clarification, so we got everything on the record that I thought.
Yeah,
Thank you for clarifying.
The impetus for this project,
It's all ADA, I mean, it's ADA compliance, it's his certification as a medical facility. Those are the two drivers. Yeah, I mean, it's the physical nature that's causing it, under the MPC, it has to, it's related to the site conditions and use. So when you combine the use in this particular site circumstance with the steepness of the existing entryway, we have to fix that, we have to repair that, and that's creating the need for us to extend past the property setback line.
Or else need more dentists.
Like everybody smiles now, see. Any questions from you then from Tom, you got any questions?
That's a condition.
Teeth whitening or?
We ask what insurance they accept.
Dr. Shaw is here to
We do,
testify.
I'm kidding.
I know, that's. Yeah, it was just a joke, everyone. Anybody wanna?
All right, I'll do it.
Sure.
Think we should grant the variance for relief from section 172-66G for the expansion into a non-conforming building into the front yard due to the fact of the elevation and slope and conformity with ADA requirements, and also giving him relief with special exception for section 172-66A to allow a continuance of non-conformity in a site area of 3,500 square feet due to again, after the addition of the ADA compliant building requirements.
All right, is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor? With the standard conditions? Is there a second?
Second.
Second, all right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, all right. Motion carries. Good luck, guys.
Thank you.
Meeting adjourned.